Hello everybody and welcome to Trackalicious. My name is Kuja Terakov and I am very proud to present the Next Level Racing Pro GT3 Championship at Trackalicious on Sundays. We've got round 2 today at Donington Park. Should be absolutely thrilling. Round 1 around Barcelona was super tight and close at the top and all the way throughout the field, and Donington Park should provide us with the same level of action. Qualifying is already underway. Let's head down to the track and see what we've got rolling out on the track at the moment. No lap time set so far, but I'm sure things will change very, very soon as the drivers have rounded around the final corners and will begin their timed lap times just about 3 minutes into the qualifying session. Hope everybody is doing well today on this fine Sunday here in the US. Maybe Monday already from where you are joining, but still happy to have you here. Welcome along to the Pro Championship brought to you by Next Level Racing here at Trackalicious on Sundays. Like I said before, very tight race at the top in round 1, expecting the very same today. Kenneth Portis, the second in the NLR TSR Championship. Audi currently sits in 6th place, 1.3 seconds off of pole position, which is currently Donk with a 126.307, the time to chase for all of our other drivers at the moment. Donington Park, a very fun and flowing circuit, lots of hills to negotiate and worry about. If you don't have the flow around here, you might get a little bit caught out on the lap times as they are beginning to tumble at the top. Times are coming in. Wilson Fernandez still yet to set a valid lap time, set on a timed lap now in the 888 BMW. No lap time for him, as I mentioned, but just starting a lap, completing Sector 1, going down the hill into the old hairpin at turn 4 before shooting back up the hill before going into a pretty tricky turn 7 and 8 complex. The camber is always breaking away at turn 8. Very tricky to get the power down early, but you want to do it as best as you can, as there is one of the longest straight sections of the track coming up before the chicane of the S's, which Wilson Fernandez is approaching now. Hard on the brakes, cutting the chicane, rolling over the curbs ever so nicely in that BMW, able to keep the car rolling super well is Wilson Fernandez. Like I said, no lap time set yet, but looking to change things with 2 corners to go, rounding the Melbourne hairpin, and now approaching the final corner of turn 12. Stargazer Lily, thank you very much for joining us tonight. Hope things are going well on your Sunday or Monday evening or morning, wherever you may be joining. Thank you for joining us as Wilson Fernandez crosses the line in 17th place, 1.1 seconds off of the good, and that just shows you the competitiveness of this field, with 1.1 seconds being in 18th place for Wilson Fernandez. Jason Provolone in 21st place, 1.8 seconds off the good, starting another lap time there. Right on board with our 3rd place sitter, Dink Donk, in the 277 Aston Martin, joining us from across the Pacific Ocean. Ping is a little bit high, but looking pretty stable around here, rounding the final corner to finish the lap at Donington. And not sure what happened there. We tuned in with Michael Landry, who's rolling out of the pits, but Donk able to improve the time, will just roll into the gravel, surely return to the pits to start on their lap, able to move up into 2nd place, 0.15 seconds off of Thiago Dinarte's time with a 125.8 dead. Good lap time from Thiago, driving in the 23 Ford Mustang in the Please Brake T1 team. Good to see the representation from all around the world. The Brazilian driver here currently occupying pole position, with Rados now in the 403. Honda moving to a 10th off of pole position, taking away second place from Donk. Then Clifford in 4th, Landry in 5th, Portis the 2nd in 6th, Finn in 7th, Mystery and Alves, the 2 Ferraris, in 8th and 9th, with Chandler Williams in the number 7 Mustang occupying the final spot of the top 10 at the moment. Just about 8 minutes into the qualifying session, Thiago Dinarte does improve his time by about a 10th. Will move 2 tenths clear of his competitors, sitting in second place, and will return to the pits, put on some fresh rubbers, and roll out again with just over 12 minutes left in the qualifying session. Anthony Kelly here in the number 2 McLaren, the Race Forge Esports, crossing the line and pulling off, able to improve the lap time, gets the position up into 10th, and we're seeing a lot of drivers do that now. A good popular choice, it seems like. Go out on a quick stint, roll back into the pits, and refuel, get some new tires out there, see how things go, and let it roll. Quinn Smith in 14th place in the 999. Aston Martin, sorry, couldn't quite pick out the logo there for a second, not quite sure why. Anyway, the Quinn-licious car currently in 14th place, 1.175 seconds off of pole position, and really tight there between really the whole grid. A 10th can move Quinn up into the top 10, gaining as much as half a second can move him up into the top 5. So we'll see just how far the very quick Quinn Smith can improve to in the very fun purple and pink Trackalicious livery rolling around Donington tonight. Pretty good conditions, not too hot, not too cold. We've got some fans of Mario Costa. Let's tune in with Mario and see how the driver here is doing in the 744 boost of pace McLaren, currently sitting in 17th place, but on a flying lap at the moment, rounding the final corner a little bit slow, maybe getting this lap set up. Currently not quite on the best lap we've seen, a 27.8, about 8 tenths off of his previous best time. So plenty of time though for Mario to go around again and try and improve his pace around Donington Park. Like we mentioned, long and flowing track. Not very long, I should say, actually. Lots of flowing corners. Not very many straightaway opportunities, so you really have to make sure you hit every apex correctly to maximize that lap time. Jonathan Clifford in the number 99 Lamborghini, the HBR livery, rolling around in 4th place, just halfway into the qualifying session. Really tight lap times all throughout the field. Any little improvements will gain you so much time and so many positions around this 2.5 mile racetrack in England. I believe Donington has hosted a few F1 events in the past, but mostly hosting GT racing, touring car racing as well. Maybe a couple of motorcycle racing events as well. Currently at an FIA grade 2, so not at the capability to host F1 if it so chose to do so, but the home of Silverstone for the British Grand Prix is a pretty decent spot. But nonetheless, Donington pretty ideal for GT cars such as these, the GT3 homologated versions of popular sports and supercars rolling around the track today. Here is the Lamborghini Huracan, the Evo version. Our great friend Eric saying, "What's up, folks in the chat? Hope you're doing well. Heard there's a storm rolling in, hopefully not taking you out of action too much." and able to watch along here tonight as Jonathan Clifford unfortunately has a bit of a mistake and has to pull off the road and return to the pits to start another stint in qualifying. Let's ride on board with Michael Landry here in the 710 McLaren for a sector or two and just see what the driver has to go through when they finish the lap here at Donington. Really slow and delicate into the Melbourne hairpin, the second to last corner, providing a bit of a challenge for the McLaren, not able to get on the power as quick as possible. Same with here, just very easily, gently easing onto the throttle before getting onto the back straight, and that is Landry sitting in 7th place now. Anthony Kelly riding on board with earlier, sitting in 13th now, 0.8 off of pole position, and still any minor improvements can jump a lot of places here in such a tight grid we have. Austin Doyle in the Doyle Mosport number 11, mint colored Mustang, very fun livery for Austin Doyle, currently sitting in 18th place, 1.293 seconds off the good, just preparing for a hot lap here in that mint Mustang. Right on board now as a car going off to the left, hopefully not distracting Austin too much as he charges down the hill in the Mustang into the old hairpin at turn 4. Very high speed corner, not really much of a hairpin these days, before going back up the hill into the very challenging turn 7 on the brakes, down a few gears, hitting the apex perfectly before getting onto the power and running wide and preparing for turn 8, the very long corner. Very tricky to get on the power early, but Doyle doing a great job there of easing onto it before hitting the longest little straight on the grid. And then a little chicane here at turn 9 and 8 called the S's with just 2 corners to go. Let's see where that mint machine will go. A little bit wide there at turn 11, losing just a little bit of time, and unfortunately for him, I think that is going to compromise this lap. But still, with 5 minutes remaining, just 3 or 4 more attempts for Austin Doyle to be able to try and improve that lap time. Matt Artem not too far behind in 21st, 1.4, now 22nd, 1.4 seconds off of pole position in the American United Racing NLR Audi. Just a couple of Audis we're seeing on the grid today. Matt Artem won, Logan as well in the 17th in the 261. Actually, not too far behind on track, the Lamborghini there, not quite sure which Lamborghini that is, but it caught in a bit of an Audi sandwich in qualifying at the moment, but not the worst place to be. Still plenty of breathing room in front and behind. Chris Logan gonna try to improve as best as possible in the Logan Goes Racing 261 Audi, 1.1 seconds off of pole position, which is currently still occupied by Thiago Dinarte with that 125.692 he set on his previous stint, and nobody's quite able to catch up to Thiago to be able to improve their lap times and get up the grid. Just see where Chris Logan ends up here when he crosses the line, running a little bit wide onto the grass and up to 18th place, not able to improve the lap time. Still a few attempts left though for him to try and improve. Andrew Rados in the number 403 Honda, currently sitting in 3rd place. Hello, Provolone. Welcome to the chat. I'm so slow, but it's okay. Racing is about being competitive with the people around you, and that's all that matters, in my opinion. And so as long as you have a bit of fun racing, and I mean, granted, this is a very competitive field at the top, so just 1 second off of the pace and you're sitting in 15th or 16th place, currently being occupied by Wright and Fernandez. So yeah, very tight grid, like we've been saying this entire broadcast. Race 1, absolutely super tight around Barcelona. Couldn't separate the cars with a piece of paper with how they were rolling around the track for the first few laps, and hopefully we'll see the same here around Donington Park in round 2 of the Next Level Racing Pro GT3 Championship, brought to you by Trackalicious Sim Racing tonight here on Sundays. Thank you all for joining us. Hope you are enjoying the action we have so far. Just under 2 minutes to go now in qualifying. Andrew Rados with a few corners left in that very fun yellow and black Team Up Garage livery. We'll see just where this lap time will put him. I believe this was a bit of an outlap for him after resuming from the pits, so just 1 or 2 more attempts depending on how this lap goes for Andrew. Quinn Smith able to move up into 4th, Clifford now in 5th, Mystery in 6th, Finn in 7th in the Nissan. Good to see a Nissan on the grid. Very fun variety of cars we have on the grid today. Lots of different cars, lots of old cars as well, not too popular of choices nowadays, like the Honda here, driven by Andrew. Mike Vasquez in the number 21 Ferrari, sitting in 11th place, just 1/10 off of that top 10 spot occupied by Chandler Williams. So he is going to try everything he can in that Please Brake T1 Ferrari in the last minute here of qualifying. Those in the pits are unfortunately done with their session. That is their session done. Retiring, not necessarily retiring from the session, but not able to roll out again before the checkered flag drops to be able to set another valid lap time. Mike Vasquez completing the first sector, almost completing the second sector, and then just the S's and 2 hairpins to go before his qualifying session is done. Last attempt to try and improve his lap time, currently 7/10 off of pole position, but just gaining 1 or 2 tenths can move him up those crucial 2 or 3 places at the beginning of the race. And unfortunately for Vasquez, that is his qualifying session done. One armed and no BOP at the back. That happens to the best of us. Quinn Smith in 5th place, 2/10 off of pole position. Donk able to improve their lap time. Mystery now splitting those 2 drivers at the top in 3rd place with a time that is 2/10 off of pole position here. Jace Wright coming to the pits, not able to improve. Mateus Alves as well retiring to the pits. Just a few cars left rolling out on track. Michael Landry being one of those in the Quasar Sim Racing McLaren. Currently in 8th place, up to the line, and that is where he will start the race. Not able to improve the lap time, and with just 1 driver to go, that is going to be our grid complete. Next week, no cast. Yeah, congrats. Yeah, that's big news at the back for Stephen Buckley in 26th place. But always fun to see the competition still rolling around. Happy to have you on the grid here tonight. And speaking of the grid, let's get to it. Big 26 car grid tonight. I'm going to take a quick sip of tea before we get to it. 3 minutes for our drivers to make any final changes to their setups, fuel up the cars, and get their pit strategy set for the 1 hour and 20-minute race ahead of us. Tiago Dinarte is going to lead the way, setting a pole position lap good enough to clear the rest of the field in the Please Brake T1 number 23 Mustang. Dink Donk in the 277 Aston Martin will sit in second place. Jayesh Mistry in the Please Brake T1 Ferrari, the number 4, will sit in third place, able to get it in the final stages of qualifying. Next is Andrew Rados in the Team Up Garage number 403 Honda. Closely followed by Quinn Smith in the Quinn-licious 999 Aston Martin. Jonathan Clifford, the first Lamborghini on the grid in the HBR number 99 machine, will sit in 6th place. I believe the lone Nissan of Jake Finn in the Please Brake T1 number 43 Nissan sits in 7th, with 8th place sitter Michael Landry not too far off. These qualifying times were absolutely super close, within tenths of each other. The Quasar Sim Racing number 710 McLaren, like we said, sits in 8th, with 9th place being Kenneth Portis, the second in the NLR TSR Championship number 84 Honda. Chandler Williams in the Please Brake T1 Mustang sits in 7th place, sits in 10th place in the number 7. Misspoke there. Mike Vasquez, lots of Please Brake T1 representation. Awesome to see friends joining the league together. In the number 21 Ferrari sits in 11th place. Jace Wright in the 24 Trekalicious Lambo NLR will sit in 12th place. Alex Hansen, another Honda on the grid, the third one we've seen so far, in the kind of meh number 390 machine, starts in 13th place. Mateus Alves in the Silver Bullet number 15 Ferrari will sit one place higher than his number, in 14th. Anthony Kelly in the Raceforge Esports, seeing a few fans of Anthony in the chat earlier, in the number 2 McLaren, will start in 15th. Wilson Fernandez as well, seen a few fans of his in the chat as well, in the Vacuum Racing 888. Cars getting rolling on their way for the formation lap. We'll finish out our grid here. Peter Hutchings sits in 17th place in the Evolution Sim Sports number 44 Bentley. Chris Logan we saw earlier in the fun and bright pink, purple, and black Audi. The 261 will start in 18th place. Austin Doyle in that mint chocolate chip Doyle Mosport number 11 Mustang starts in 19th place. Jill Silverin, the 400 Mustang, starts in 20th. Lots of drivers from Brazil today. Happy to have you all joining us on the grid tonight. Mario Costa, one of those as well from Brazil, in the 744 Boost of Pace McLaren will start in 21st. Matt Artem in the second Audi will sit in 22nd in the 414 America United Racing NLR. Rogerio Santos in the 177 Ferrari will start not too far off in 23rd. Alex Freeman, see him in plenty of championships at Trackalicious, in the number 14 McLaren, starts in 24th. Professor Chronotis, likewise the same, will start in 25th in the 42 Ferrari. Stefan Buckley with that broken arm will start in 26th in the 173 Lexus. Last but not least, the cheese man, Jason Provolone. If it ain't easy, it ain't being cheesy. Number 82 Aston Martin will round out the grid tonight. I misspoke. We have a 27 car grid tonight. Lots of absolutely pro level drivers in the lineup tonight. All the way up and down the grid. Should be some absolutely epic racing tonight in the Next Level Racing Pro GT3 Championship, brought to you by Trackalicious. Hope everyone is having a good night, good morning, or good afternoon, wherever you are joining us from. About to get underway with one corner left in the formation lap. Zipper formation, 2x2, all the way up and down the grid, rounding the final corner. Thiago Dinarte will lead the field as they get rolling, and towards the end of that start-finish straight, the green flag will drop, and our hour and 20-minute race will begin. Dinarte gets a good start and is able to keep the position on the inside of turn 1. Mystery has a little bit of a look, but nothing quite to it yet. Quinn Smith having a little bit of a look on the inside of Rados, but he's not giving him any room at all. And our top 5 remains the same as it was, but a good exit from Quinn Smith in the Aston Martin. He's looking racy at the beginning, looking to try to move up into 4th place, but nothing to it yet. We've got a bit of an incident at the back, the 414, the Audi, I believe that is Matt Ardham, at the back of the grid. Gonna have to get that car rolling. Hopefully not too much damage, and is able to keep it going as well. Jake Finn in 8th place, dropping a position at the beginning now in the Please Brake T1 Nissan. And Quinn Smith with a bit of a wiggle at the front is a little bit vulnerable now, has to cover the inside with the Lamborghini of Clifford trying to go the long way around, and Quinn Smith does a good job covering it off. Jonathan Clifford, though, is going to try the inside again of the final corner, and now he is going to get the position. And as well as Landry. Landry's going to try to squeak through the position as well, so Quinn Smith might lose 2 places in one corner, and they're almost 3 wide into turn 1. But Quinn Smith able to get the position on Landry, so ends up just losing a place to Jonathan Clifford in that Lamborghini. Going to try to catch up to the front runners ahead. The wing of Quinn Smith seeing plenty of action behind it. A big snake of cars going through Sector 2 into Turn 7 and 8. Thiago Dinarte still in the lead with Donk, Mystery, Rados, Clifford, and Quinn Smith here in 6th place with a lot of cars behind looking to make up ground. A bit of an early upshift for Quinn Smith, able to get the power down, and now running away from Landry behind. Portis the second in the Honda number 84, sitting in 9th place. A bit of a train here, not a lot of room for anybody to go and make up ground at the moment, so we'll just have to wait and see how the action turns out so far. But in front, Thiago Dinarte leads into the final corner, but Donk is not letting him have any breathing room behind, nearly bumper to bumper as they go into the final corner there, with Jayesh Mystery rounding out the podium places in 3rd place. A couple of drivers we saw there in the pit lane. I believe I saw the Mint Mustang there of Austin Doyle, as well as Mateus Alves are both in the pits at the moment. And of course there is that mandatory pit stop in the race, so they are coming in a little bit early, but we'll have to manage their tires and fuel if they plan to go to the end of the race. Rados behind in the Honda is looking really racy, or maybe that's just a little bit of the lag kicking into play. A little bit of dust getting kicked up from the front runners. Donk not giving Dinarte any breathing room behind. Right on board with the driver from across the Pacific, sitting in 2nd place in the race, looking at the bumper of Denarte in front so far. Not much separating them, but Chandler Williams, though, in the Mustang, looking pretty racy. Portis having to cover the inside. Can Williams make the move, stick around the outside? He cannot, and is almost giving the position behind to Jace Wright in the Lamborghini. Very bright and colorful livery from Jace Wright in this championship for the season. Always fun to see the creativity on the grid of all of our fellow drivers. Chandler Williams sitting in 10th place at the moment, not quite able to make up ground on Portis in front, who took that defensive line and was able to cover it off perfectly. Rados at the front. Andrew Rados in the 403. The Canadian driver trying to get up into the podium position, but Mystery is doing a good job of defending that final position in the number 4 Ferrari, not giving anything to the Honda to think about as terms of moves. But at the same time, Rados is not letting the Ferrari pull away and having Mystery think all the time and look in the mirrors and making them really think. And hopefully we can see some sort of moves towards the closing stages of the race. And of course, that pit stop ever so crucial in the middle phase. Quinn Smith still in that 6th position behind Clifford, but now getting closer and closer to the back of that Lamborghini. I'm Honda, I'm Honda. Heck yeah, good to see all the Honda fans in the crowd. Lots of Hondas on the grid. We've got Hansen in 19th place. We've got Portis in 8th place in the 84, as well as Rados in 4th place, looking to take that final podium position away. A little bit further back, Peter Hutchings in 11th place in the 44 Bentley, making up a lot of ground. Dr. Porkchops has no Jag. Indeed, I don't know where the Jag is tonight. Not a lot of representation in that department. But we do have a Bentley on the grid, driven here by Peter Hutchins in the Evolution Sim Sports number 44. Looking to get up into the top 10 with Vasquez defending that position for his life at the moment. Looks like the Bentley has a great amount of speed around the home track of the Bentley. The right-hand drive suiting the Bentley around here, but Vasquez defending absolutely perfectly through there, and not giving the Bentley anything to think about. And that is Kelly looking for a move down the inside, with a lot of action going on here just outside the top 10, with Vasquez leading a big train of cars, with Hutchins, Logan, Kelly, and now Williams making it through the field. Williams making it through the McLaren to move up the position after losing a few from the start. Qualified in the top 10, but now dropping back the order a little bit. Maybe a little bit of action involved with another driver and getting a little bit bumped out of the way, but don't want to presume too much at all. But Peter Hutchins moving their way up through the field super well, qualifying near the bottom of the grid, almost in the top 10 though. Vasquez making it very difficult for the Bentley driver to get the move done here. We can see from the wing of Vasquez just how close that Bentley is getting, in the big train of cars behind, as the number 11 is yellow flagged at the exit, or the exit of turn 5. Drivers having to take avoiding action. That is Austin Doyle is the number 11. Deciding to return to the pits and maybe retiring from the race. Actually, no, able to keep the car still rolling is Austin Doyle. So good for Austin, like to see that. always got to commit to the end, and that was a move for Chandler Williams behind, able to get through Chris Logan, now dropping back a position in the 261 Audi. There's an absolutely tight train of cars, and Vasquez dives into the pits. That's a pretty early pit stop, just about 9 minutes into the race, maybe not refueling enough after qualifying, and having to dive into the pit lane from the top 10 is Vasquez. Tune into our top 2 here, running a bit away from the last podium sitter. 4.5 seconds is the gap from Donk to Mystery, but the gap from Donk to Denarte is bumper to bumper, nearly less than half a second between these two, but Denarte is not giving in to the pressure of Donk. We'll ride on board with the Aston Martin, just see how he's able to keep the pressure on the Mustang. We know the Mustang has absolutely impressive straight line speed in ACC. And in the braking zone, we see Donk nearly collecting the back of the Mustang. Oh, excuse me. But the Mustang gets on the power out of the corner super well and running away yet again. Just 6 laps already completed under, actually, that's going to be lap 7 now that they cross the line. Beginning lap 8 for our top 2. Still ever so close between them as there are battles all the way up and down the grid here. Quinn Smith dropping another place, unfortunately, in the Quinn-licious 999 Aston Martin, now down to 7th place with Landry in the 710 McLaren, moving up into 6th. But these two not too far off from Clifford, who just can't seem to increase the gap behind to these two drivers and catch up to the 2 cars battling for 3rd and 4th place. Quinn Smith, though, looking really aggressive through all of the braking zones, but not quite able to get on the power as good as the cars in front to really challenge them into any sort of braking zones. Thanks to everybody joining us in the chat. Sorry, can't keep up with everybody with all the action going out on the track at the moment, but really appreciate you all chiming in, showing your support for all the drivers on the grid here tonight. Good battle here all the way through the top 10 as Arados not quite able to stay as close as before to the Ferrari of Mystery in front, perhaps just easing off a little bit, getting a little bit cool and calm and collected before really applying the pressure and trying to pull off a move. Not too far off is that battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th place between Clifford, Landry, and Smith, with Portis the second not too far off as well in the 2nd of the 3 Hondas on the grid tonight, currently taking that 8th place position. And Michael Landry here in that sandwich of 6th place between Quinn Smith and Clifford. Having to look both ahead and behind, defend that position for his life. And before getting to the pit stop phases, these races are, well, this is the track position that matters, at least before the pit stops. After that, it'll be, of course, very interesting to see everybody's strategy and just how well executed the pit stops are. And of course, if there are any speeding in the pit lane penalties, the sim will give those, as Quinn Smith has a look down the inside with Landry running a little wide at turn 11, but not able to get the power down as good as the McLaren is yet again, and Quinn Smith struggling to get through the field after dropping a few places from the start, but still plenty of racing to go. 1 hour and 6 minutes left on the clock here, with these drivers in the top 22 yet to complete their pit stops. Vasquez was the first to pit from the top 10. A few others pit before with a bit of damage they accrued from contact earlier in the race. and deciding to take to the pits to fix that damage. But still good to see everybody rolling out on the track at the moment. Fun battles all throughout the grid. The top two running a bit away. Now 6 seconds separates them from 3rd and 4th place, with a 3-second gap from 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th here, with Jace Wright moving up into the top 10, as well as the Bentley of Hutchins. Williams sits in 11th, Logan in 12th, Kelly in 13th, Finn dropping a few places in the Nissan from the start, sits in 14th place, with the Cheeseman Provolone in 15th. Hansen and Freeman not too far off in 16th and 17th as well, with Silver and Chronotis, Buckley, Costa, and Artem rounding out those who have yet to come into the pits. Still Jayesh Mystery having to deal with the pressure of the Honda behind. Absolutely incredible action up and down the field. So hard to keep up here by myself in the studio. My mouth is running super dry, having to sip tea all the time, so apologies for all the small breaks in between the action. But the drivers are able to provide that action for us to where I really just have to say what they're doing. They're doing all the hard work. So props to them for putting on a good show for us so far, with just over 15 minutes elapsed in the race so far, with Rado still ever so close to Mystery for that final podium position, but these two are losing ground to our top two of Dinarte and Donk, with the battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th place being the closest on track we have so far. Quinn Smith rounding out this battle for 7th place, with Landry and Clifford in 5th and 6th place, and Portis the second in the 84 Honda, getting ever so closer to the tail of this battle behind. Yeah, always fun battles here around Donington Park. Pretty difficult to overtake once the gaps have kind of separated out a little bit, as we're seeing here. But Dinarte and Donk are approaching a little bit of traffic, so it'll be interesting to see what happens here. That is the Honda of, I believe, Alex Hansen getting out of the way after serving his pit stop a little bit earlier on. Managing the traffic very well are these two, with Donk setting the fastest lap of the race on his previous lap with a 126.472 is the target fastest lap for all of those others to try and chase down. But of course, the fastest lap may award you a few points extra, but the position gained is even more important, as that gains you even more points in the championship here on Sundays at Trackalicious, the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship. Of course, awarding a prize to the winner of the championship. They do win an ERS4 seat. So that is an absolutely fun prize giveaway from Next Level Racing. Huge thanks and shout out to them for sponsoring this championship, as well as a few other ones that Trackalicious hosts. So please do check out their website and all of their amazing products that they have to offer. I believe !NLR or !Next Level will take you to a link there. And yes, NLR will do just that. Thank you, Eric, for the help in the background. Much appreciated here. With all the action on track going on, it's hard to keep up with everything else. So, as always, appreciate all the help going on in the background from the stewards, from all the organizers as well, setting up all the championships in this absolutely fun pro championship on Sundays here. 4-car battle from 5th to 8th place now. Portis the second getting pretty involved in the Honda now. Abel is going to be able to capitalize on any mistakes ahead that may or may not happen in front, from Clifford to Landry to Smith to Portis, with Jace Wright and Hutchins and Williams not too far off, occupying 9th, 10th, and 11th place. Here we have that battle for the final spots of the top 10. Chandler Williams in the Please Brake T1. At the tail end of this little train, we have Lamborghini versus Bentley versus Ford to round out 9th, 10th, and 11th place. Chandler Williams, the winner of the West Coast Wednesday GT3 Championship at Trackalicious. Good to see him doing pretty well in such a competitive field we have on Sundays, able to qualify in that top 10, but that just goes to show you just how quick some championships can be. And Thiago Denarte doing an excellent performance of that at the front, leading from the start, from pole position, but Dunk not giving him any breathing room from the beginning. Still that gap within half a second for the lead of the race. The Bentley getting ever so closer to the Lamborghini, but running a little bit wide onto the grass, and that is certainly not going to help the chances of Hutchins get that position on right for 9th place. Chandler Williams, though, getting an absolutely beautiful run with a yellow flag in front. Goes to the inside of turn 11. Can he get it done under braking? Absolutely squeezing the line to the inside as close as they can. And now they're going to run side by side. But now the Bentley's going to have the inside into the final corner. And who's going to take the position? The Bentley sweeps to the inside, covers off the undercut from Chandler Williams, and no positions gained or lost for these two. And I believe that was the Ferrari of mystery from 3rd place. That was the 3rd place Ferrari who was spun off in the turn 11 Melbourne hairpin. And unfortunately for Mystery, now dropping to 14th place, and that gives the position to Rados to move up into 3rd place on the podium. Not sure if there was contact between the two. Will be interesting to see in the replays later on, but I think unfortunately it's just a little bit too late for us to catch what happened there between the 3rd and 4th place sitters at the top. Michael Landry with Quinn Smith for company behind. Oh, going a little bit deep on the brakes is Landry, and that's going to open up the position to Quinn Smith to potentially sweep it. But again, Landry really good at getting the power out of those tight hairpins in the McLaren, not giving Quinn Smith the opportunity for the overtake into the next one. And unfortunately for Rados, it looks like he did lose a little bit of time, dropping back to within a second and a half of Clifford in the number 99 Lamborghini, who now sits in 4th place after that maybe contact between Rados. With how much time was lost there, I can only presume there was contact between the two. Oh, and Quinn Smith taking to the grass, and they are now fighting for position. That is Portis trying to sweep through Quinn Smith, and not quite able to do it, as Quinn Smith getting really squirrely on the exit of turn 4, the old hairpin. Not able to get the power down as good as he hoped, running a little bit wide, almost giving the position to Kenneth in the Honda. And they're fighting in the back. They are fighting all the way throughout the field. Absolutely everybody is battling for position. Nothing is absolutely done and dusted in this 80-minute race. We have just over 24, or just under 24 minutes done so far in the race. Lots still to go, with a few drivers electing to take those early pit stops, a few maybe having more so forced to take the pit stops due to damage and such. But nonetheless, everybody's still at the front rolling around the 2.5 mile 12 corner Donington racetrack in England. Absolutely fun location for some GT racing as well. And unfortunately, this is Jayesh Mistry now, after starting in third place, dropping down the order in the number 4 Please Brake T1 Ferrari. Now trying to gain places as efficiently as possible. Has Jake Finn in front in the number 43 Nissan. Also qualifying in that top 10, dropping down the order just a little bit, is Jake Finn. But now these two Please Brake T1 teammates, competitors, will now battle it out for 13th and 14th on track. Peter Hutchins still under absolutely heavy pressure from Chandler Williams in the Ford. Ford versus Bentley, with Jace Wright not really being able to pull away from the battle for 9th and 10th between the Bentley and the Ford. The Lamborghini still within grasp of the two behind, and now Chris Logan is looking to capitalize as well in the 261 Audi. You can see the pink machine getting ever so closer to this battle in the top 10 between Wright, Hutchins, and Williams. Mistry now going into the pits after what we can presume was a little bit of contact, maybe just a mistake, a self-forced error, and then forced contact behind. Again, don't want to presume anything, but coming into the pits is Mistry from 14th place. Gonna try to fix all that damage and get the race still rolling underway. Peter Hutchins through that first sector, able to close on the Lamborghini really well. But in that second sector, it seems like the Ford really has a big speed advantage and is able to close the gap. But Jace Wright doing an excellent job of defending this train behind. We'll ride on with this battle into the final few corners as Hutchins runs onto the grass a little bit. Again, we see the Bentley. Chandler Williams trying to stick a nose in on the inside. The Bentley forced to go wide, and now it's a drag race into the final braking zone of the lap at turn 12. The Bentley has the inside. We've seen this once. Will we see it again? He defends the line perfectly, but runs a little bit wide onto the grass, and now Chandler Williams is going to try to sweep around the outside of turn 1. But Hutchins covers it off super well, but Williams is going to sweep to the inside. But, oh, and there's contact between the two, and the Bentley is tapped, and Chris Logan, unfortunately, is also involved in the carnage as well, just hitting the side, and that's going to be heavy front-end damage to the Audi of Chris Logan. Kelly able to get through all of that mess cleanly. Into the top 10 goes the number 2 McLaren. And yeah, just a little bit of contact into T1 there. And yeah, Hutchins, spun around and then hit in the side by the Audi of Logan. And the battle of the top 10 continues between Michael Landry, Quinn Smith, and Kenneth Portis II, rounding out this battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Now Clifford is able to pull out a pretty healthy 2.5 second gap to the battle behind, but isn't quite close enough to Rados in front to try to pull off any sort of moves. And there's a Ferrari there. I believe that is either Vasquez or Santos, who have already completed their pit stop, getting involved. Gonna be shown the blue flags here to get out of the way of the battling cars behind. But Quinn Smith able to roll around pretty well now after losing a few places from the start. The Cheeseman Provolone dives into the pits from 14th place in the number 82 Aston Martin. And yeah, tight battles all throughout the field here tonight. A little bit of contact we saw there a little bit ago. An unfortunate ending to that with Hutchins getting pretty heavy contact in the front, getting spun the wrong way around, and then in the back, but Quinn Smith running a little bit wide, getting a little bit squirrely on the exit. Michael Landry's going to try to have a look, but not quite the room there for Landry to pull off a move. These two have been battling all race, switching positions between themselves, with Landry being in front for a little bit. Now Smith, the lead car, able to get the move done. We saw them going side by side into that turn 11 hairpin a few times, with Landry able to get the power down a little bit more efficiently, and now these three will go through the battle as Portis the second is going to dive into the pits. Not happy with battling it out on track. Gonna let the pit crew decide it, as he's gonna try the undercut strategy here with just about 30 minutes into the race. Portis is gonna dive into the pits. Just over 50 minutes to go. There's a yellow flag there. That is the 82 sitting at the exit. That is the Cheese Man after completing the pit, sitting pretty dangerously there out on track. A bit of a gap now. Gonna get that car rolling again. Good to see the Cheese Man avoiding all the incidents and able to get that Aston Martin rolling again, but unfortunate for the Cheese Man. That little spin will cost him a pretty hefty amount of time. Battle for the lead continues, though, between Donk and Denarte. Denarte now 20 laps under their belt, coming up to the line to complete lap 21 of this hour and 20-minute race. Absolutely fun championship here we have on Sundays. Hope you're all enjoying the action we have for you tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Hope you're all having a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be joining us. Denarte happy in the lead of the race, just over that 30-minute mark now. Almost at the halfway mark. Battles opening up a little bit, with a few drivers electing to come into the pits, with Vasquez being one of those very early pit stop takers. Does come out ahead of Portis the second in 18th place, with that Honda driver in the 84 sitting in 19th place after taking the pit stop, after battling it out in the top 10 for the majority of the 30 minutes we have under our belt so far. Jake Finn in the Nissan trying to close the gap to Logan in front. We saw a bit of contact between Logan and the Bentley of Hutchins. Unfortunately, gonna slow the Audi down a little bit with that front end damage, with Chandler Williams in 9th place, a bit over a second in front of these two cars battling for 11th and 10th place. Not quite a lot of overtakes we've seen on track outside of the top 10 minutes so far. Lots of side-by-side action into that turn 11 and turn 12. Pretty difficult to get a move done in the first and second sector. Pretty much just kind of waiting it out, getting as close as you can to line up a move into sector 3 with the heavy braking zone before turn 9 and 10, as well as both of the hairpins to close out the lap here at Donington. Lots of grass and gravel we're seeing getting kicked up from more than one driver. Track limits, of course, something to consider in this pretty long hour and 20-minute stint race. Drifting the Nissan is Jake Finn. Always fun to see a bit of drifting action, but that's going to slow down the Nissan driver through the corners in his chances of gaining a place and moving up into the top 10. Jonathan Clifford able to extend the gap just a little bit behind to about 2 seconds, but the gap in front has grown pretty significantly to about 5.1 seconds for that final podium position, which is currently being occupied by the Honda of Rados in the 403. Quinn Smith behind, trying ever so desperately to gain a little bit of time and get the position with a Ferrari in the middle there. That should be a blue flagged car. I believe it's not a battle we have currently out on track. So with that car getting out of the way, that should release Quinn Smith into a bit of clean air to try to close down the gap to Clifford here in the number 99 Lamborghini. Landry just falling back a little bit now, 2 seconds from Quinn Smith in 6th place. Jace Wright 8 seconds off of Michael Landry in 7th place. And that battle is pretty close here between Kelly, Wright, and Williams, but not quite as close as we would like to see for an overtake to get done here around Donington. But of course, we're approaching that final sector, and we can see just in the foreground now of the shot are 2 leaders rounding out the final corner to start lap 25 of this contest. Less than half a second still on that timetable between Dinarte and Donk for the lead of the race. Absolutely tight battle between our front runners in this evening's event. The rear wing of Jace Wright. Very fun and bright. Nice aqua, teal, blue kind of color there being represented by Jace Wright. But of course the front of the car is a completely different color. Fun to see that gradient effect all the way throughout. Can see that Kelly is pretty close behind. Doesn't want to commit too many mistakes here, does Jace Wright. But a pretty comfortable gap behind to where he knows Kelly isn't going to send any sort of moves down the inside of any braking zones. But still wants to keep that Lambo rolling as clean as possible, as there is still plenty of racing action left ahead of us, with Buckley pitting with that broken arm, getting the Lexus rolling down pit lane with the 390. I was going to say the 399, but that is the 390 of Alex Hansen with the yellow flag in Sector 2, with a bit of cars approaching. Hopefully Hansen will stay clear of those racing, and he sure does, and well done there, avoiding any sort of chaos. Jace Wright, though, a little bit wiggly on the exit of turn 11, not able to get the power down as efficiently as he would like in the Lamborghini. The big V10 in the middle of that car, powering Jace Wright around Donington, with Anthony Kelly now within half a second behind, able to maintain a pretty close position to Jace, but not close enough yet to pull off any sort of overtakes just yet. The battle for turn 1, the battle between the please brake turn 1 continues between Thiago Dinarte and Donk behind. Again, that Aston is looking very, very aggressive in the braking zones. Able to close the gap to the bumper, but the Mustang has an immense amount of grip and top speed to just pull away from the Aston and not give any sort of looks. And now, just over halfway into the race, will this be the trigger for Dinarte to absolutely send it for a few laps before coming into the pits? And now the race is on between the pit crew, with Rados taking second place from Donk after he comes in for the pit stop. Now it's just a bit of a waiting game to see when Dinarte and all of our other drivers elect to come into the pits. Vasquez is the leader of those who has come into the pits, currently sitting in 17th place with Portis and Santos, Buckley, Costa, and Hansen. Those others as well who have completed their pit stop as well as Alves and Ali Raza in that last place position at the moment. Hopefully for Donk, he is able to get out into a bit of clean air to set a few clean laps to be able to really get that undercut advantage that he was hoping to get with the undercut. Let's see just where he is here. Currently in 11th place, a good gap in front and a good gap behind. So now Donk really has to put the power absolutely to maximum to try and get this undercut to work for the lead of the race. Absolutely crucial here for him to not get stuck in any sort of traffic as well. And of course, with those battling in front, some may be for technical position on track, so they really don't have to give that place up if they do choose to fight. And Dinarte not deciding to pit on this lap, still happy with the pace in front, gonna go around again. One corner to go on this lap with the halfway mark of the race crossing over right now.
Halfway through, not over yet.
Our lovely race director telling us we're at the halfway mark. Thank you to our lovely race director there. 40 minutes to go with just a few drivers coming into the pits, and there is a spin in the background there. Not sure who that is. I believe that is the Bentley of Peter Hutchings. Unfortunately, a self-inflicted error there from the Bentley in contention in the top 10 in Barcelona last time out. Not quite with the same pace around Donington this time. A bit of contact earlier, and now a spin at turn 1 as well for the Bentley driver. Kelly closing that gap pretty close between the McLaren and the Lamborghini for 6th and 7th place out on track, with Rados coming into the pits from 2nd place, our 3rd place sitter before everybody coming into the pits. Now coming in to serve that mandatory pit stop as Jace Wright runs a little bit wide. And is this going to be the time? No, this is not going to be the time for Kelly to make a move. Instead, Kelly moves that McLaren down pit road to serve our mandatory pit stop here in the race around Donington tonight. Absolutely intense action so far at the beginning of the race. Lots of gaps now, though, opening up with the pit lane being pretty active. Lots of drivers coming into pit road to get that pit stop out of the way. Lots of those in the top 10 coming in now. Hutchins coming in, as well as Kelly, who we saw dive in on that previous lap. Fernandez in the 888 from 17th place. Jonathan Clifford now sits in 2nd place in the number 99 Lamborghini, though he has yet to come in for the pit stop, as well as our race leader, Thiago Dinarte, still happy to roll around in the 23 Mustang. Pretty good pace from him out front, pretty consistent as well, matching his previous best stints. Pretty good at the front here. Surely gonna have to come into the pits pretty soon to refuel that V8 powered Mustang at the front. Quinn Smith now in 3rd place in the 999 Aston Martin. Lots of positions lost and gained for Quinn Smith. A few lost at the start, but able to make them back up. Just 2 seconds separating him from the 2nd place sitter at the moment, who is Jonathan Clifford in that number 99 Lamborghini. Matt Artem in the 414 Audi. We saw the yellow flag earlier fly for the 414. still yet to come into the pits, sitting in 12th place with Chronotis behind for company. That is for position in the race between the 42 and the 414, with Vasquez in front, serving their pit stop already, coming in a little bit earlier than most, but able to keep that Ferrari going for the majority of this stint is Vasquez. 6.9 seconds off of Rados for that position overall in the classification, as well as here Matt Artem trying to defend Chronotis in that really fun blue shell livery of our good friend of the program, Professor Chronotis, in the 42. A little bit of dirt on the back covering the shell, but still trying to get closer and closer to the bumper in front, with the Honda there of Portis II approaching this battle. These two yet to come into the pits, so this is for position overall, as Alex Freeman in the number 14 McLaren dives into the pits. Don't understand English, but this is a nice transmission and a nice championship. Thank you very much. Appreciate all the support, and hopefully nice and good support from everybody in the crowd, as well as all of those others as well supporting Mario. Good to see all the support from the chat. For all those out on track, giving us something to talk about during the broadcast, as well as all of our racers out on track providing a fantastic bit of action for us in the second round of the Next Level Racing Pro GT3 Championship, hosted by Trackalicious here on Sundays. Thank you all for joining us tonight. A bit of a lull here in the action as the pit stops are underway. Going to be interesting to see, of course, where Donk comes out relative to Dinarte, as those two were really close at the front, as well as Portis getting through Williams and Kelly, as well as Logan with Silverin in the 400 Mustang in 16th place. Freeman, Hutchins, Santos, Fernandez, Buckley, Costa, and Alves, those running near the back of the grid, but have served their pit stop, so maybe still a few positions available to grab for them, as Chronotis and Matt Artem continue to go around in the race. And again, Thiago Dinarte leading the race from pole position at the start. Not coming into the pits yet again. Gonna be rolling around again from the lead. Happy to keep that Mustang going around in the front so far. Chris Logan looking pretty racy here in the Audi, getting close to the back of Kelly. This is for position overall for 14th and 15th, with a few drivers in the top 10 still yet to make their pit stops. Good bit of insight here from Mrs. Racing. Thank you for the lovely insight. Logan did not repair the damage, so he's happy to roll around with the damage he's got going on. We can see the front end of that Audi with a bit of scratch marks. Yeah, I agree. The front end does not normally look like that. So, yes, rolling around, happy with the pace. Well, that's true. Happy enough to not fix it, let's say. If it was undrivable, then surely that damage would need to be fixed in the 261 Audi, but still getting close to the back of Kelly, who occupies 14th place in the number 2 McLaren so far. Rolling around. Lots of two-car battles going out on track so far. We saw a bit of 3 or 4, maybe even 5-car trains earlier. The gaps opening up here in the middle stages of the race. Super fun 8-round championship we have from Next Level Racing here on Sundays. Sign-ups are still open, I believe, but if not, do stick around for the next championship after this one, but there are plenty of other sign-ups open for Trackalicious. If you do want to join us, check us out on SimGrid and see what championship suits your fancy, from GT4s to GT3s. Trackalicious has it all. Sign up for your favorite event and see yourself rolling around with all of our favorites here out on track in a broadcast just like this one. So yeah, happy to have you all joining us for any and all Trackalicious events. Donk here in the battle for the lead, approaching a bit of traffic, we'll call it. This is for position with Jake Finn in the Nissan out in front for 6th place, but Finn yet to still yet to pit. Cara de Gordo, thank you for the follow, much appreciated. Thank you for the support. Donk now with the undercut strategy coming into play. Half a second from Thiago Dinarte for pretty much the entirety of the stint at the beginning, deciding to come into the pits early, and now this traffic problem might come into play where he's not quite able to post as fast of lap times as he would hope, with Jake Finn not having or not being shown the blue flags in front, so he does not have to get out of the way in any way, shape, or form. Can defend for his life for this position behind our top 6, still yet to make a pit stop, with Donk and Rados behind, occupying 2nd and 3rd place before the pit stop phases. And now a bit of a battle here. Donk trying to shape up a move through the wiggly section at the middle of Sector 2 in turns 5 and 6, but Finn not giving him anything to look at. And now out on the power, gonna try to get a move done down the back straight, looking off the wing of the Nissan in the Please Brake T1 number 43. V6 turbos at the front of this Nissan, trying to defend from the Aston with the V8 at the front. Very different cars out on track. The Nissan not updated for a while. Same with the Aston Martin. So a bit of a battle of the oldies, quote unquote, here for 6th and 7th place. Donk wanting to get that position as quickly as possible, though, as he is getting, I don't want to say held up necessarily, but he's getting a little bit held up by Jake Finn with a 28.5. That's almost a second off of the times they were doing at the front before his pit stop. And I am sure in that hour and 20-minute long race, it's going to be pretty difficult for the tires to last that long. And so more than, well, actually I'm not sure. It is possible for the tires to last that long, so it is possible that they just refueled during the pit stop, electing to just go for the splash and dash strategy. And yeah, side by side here though. Donk still behind Finn though, not able don't want to say held up, but held up, yes. Correct. I just can't find the other words right now. My brain isn't quite working at the moment as well as it should here. Last minute decision broadcast here, but happy to be here, folks. Happy to provide the action here in this absolutely fun championship on Sundays in ACC. Donk looking down the inside, and he Donk bonks Finn out of the way. A bit of bullying there, unfortunately. Not any room down the inside there for Donk to get through, almost forcing that move through and it'll be interesting to see the steward's decision on that as well. But now with a bit of clean air in front, Dink Donk trying to get the lap times sorted and gonna try to get some clean laps in as well, as that will surely have cost him precious time to Thiago Dinarte at the front. Andrew Rados here though, with Landry in front. That is the position, I'm not sure if it was lost or gained for Rados, but now he is behind Landry for position overall in the race. Landry moving up through Rados. Maybe a mistake on the last lap, but Landry actually coming into the pits actually. The overcut attempt done and dusted from Landry, who did come into the pits on that last lap. Just checking the timing here. Yes, he did come into the pits out ahead of Andrew Rados, who was occupying that final podium position, and now that might be taken by Landry. A bit of bumping into the hairpin there between the two, but still the positions hold the way they were, with Landry out in front, 7th and 8th place here out on track. Super close between the Honda and the McLaren. Going to be interesting to see where where all the other battles will end up after everybody serving their pit stops. Thiago Dinarte in from the lead, did come into the pits, and is pretty comfortably out in front of Donk. A pretty healthy gap there from the leader of the race. Able to come out with a pretty healthy gap there. We see to Jace right behind, and Donk even further back on the grid there. So Thiago Dinarte with that long overcut strategy, having to stop for less fuel towards the closing stages of the race, and has a pretty big advantage now for overall lead position in this hour and 20-minute long race at Donington Park. Andrew Rados ever so close to the bumper of Landry, who was able to get through with that long overcut strategy. And now Rados is going to look down the inside, but Landry, confident on the brakes, able to cut off that attempt completely. Sorry folks, mouth drying up a little bit. So much action to talk about out on track here. Rados still trying to line up a move on Landry, but not able to get close enough to do that. But Landry with a bit of oversteer on the exit. This is a pretty challenging position to get the overtake done. It's bumper to bumper between the two as they go into the old hairpin at turn 4. Just a little bit onto the grass there on the exit. And this is an absolutely epic battle we have here between the Honda and the McLaren for position here. But still, Rados desperately trying to get that move done. After coming out of the pit stops, he did have the warm tire advantage, but now that advantage is probably a bit gone as Landry has a few laps under his belt. Will he make the move into the chicane? He thinks about it, but has to dive back behind and is not really helping himself set up for an overtake there, as he is on the inopportune racing line going into the hairpin and having to drop back yet again. That hairpin at the end there, or sorry, the chicane, I should say rather. The hairpin here at the end is looking like the best place for the Honda to get the move done. It is absolutely confident on those brakes, but just needs to get that tiny little bit of speed advantage to get through. And Thiago Dinarte with the yellow flag. He's dropping down the order. What's happened here? Oh no, was there a disconnection from the leader? No, unfortunately, I think there was a disconnection from Thiago, and you hate to see that. No. Oh man. That is super unfortunate. And now Clifford was going to inherit the lead of the race with Quinn Smith behind. But now Rados is shaping up the move, and he's going to try down the inside of turn 8, forcing the move. But Landry not giving it up. Absolutely side by side between the two. And that was absolutely fantastic for Landry to keep the position around the outside of turn 8. And now into the S as we go. And an absolutely brilliant corner exit from Landry, or sorry, from Rados rather, is going to have the inside line. The Honda we've seen is super strong in the hairpins here, and he does get the move done. And Landry with the oversteer not helping his chances of trying to stay close for another move to get done. And these two approaching a bit of traffic in front, having to negotiate the Lexus and the Ferrari in front. This will be interesting to see just what happens here between the two, but the Honda able to get the position. An absolutely beautiful move out of the S's into the Melbourne hairpin at turn 11. Done and dusted. Rados moving up into 6th place. The front runners here still happy to keep going. Clifford, Smith, and Wright. The Lamborghini, the Aston Martin, and the Lamborghini of Jace Wright still in those top 3 positions overall, but have yet to serve their pit stops, electing to go long just for a quick splash and dash at the end to end the race. More than 60 minutes completed, less than 20 minutes to go in round 2 of the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship here at Trackalicious. Thank you all once again for joining us. Lots of Honda fans here in the chat, loving the move from Rados on Landry, getting the position out on track. And Quinn Smith here going up, down, left and right through the field, still rolling in that 999 Aston Martin. Jonathan Clifford, though, out in the lead of the race in the number 99 Lamborghini. Still yet to come into the pits, though. Over an hour completed of the race. Lots of fuel from the beginning for the start for Jonathan in the Lamborghini, electing to go the long route for this race and stick it out until he is towards the end of the race and only has to come in for a few seconds for that quick splash and dash pit stop. This is the battle for 8th and 9th place between Vasquez and Portis. Vasquez did come in very, very early for that pit stop, and now the battle is picking up between the Honda and the Ferrari for 8th place. The very fun white, black, and almost sky blue, teal colored livery for Kenneth in the Honda, chasing the black and red Please Break T1 liveries we were seeing all throughout the grid here tonight. Absolutely tight battle here between these two competitors for 8th and 9th place. Portis just having a look down the inside, making the Ferrari think in the 21, but not giving anything of it. Both cars really confident on the brakes, not giving the position up easily is Vasquez, sitting in 8th place at the moment. Jake Finn, one of those runners as well, who is yet to stop in another Please Break T1. The Canadian sitting in 5th place so far, with that Nissan being pretty efficient on the fuel, able to run the really long strategy, and that is what Jake Finn is doing here. Matt Artem and Chronotis in 11th and 12th, also yet to make their pit stops as well. wasn't paying attention. What happened to Dinarte? Pretty sure it was a disconnection. Yes, indeed. Some sort of connection issue for Thiago Dinarte at the front, and that is more than likely going to give the overall race lead to Donk in the 277 Aston Martin, unless there is something clever up the sleeves of our top three, who still need to come into the pits for that pit stop. Kenneth here just getting closer and closer to the bumper in front of the Ferrari, but these two are still separated by absolutely nothing out on track. But at the same time, Vasquez is doing a great job of defending and not letting Kenneth get any sort of moves down the inside or outside of any corners. And a lot of Ford and Honda fans in the chat not appreciating the Ford DNF experience call out. But yes, unfortunately here in this race, it looks like it is the Ford DNF experience for Thiago Dinarte at the front. The number 99 in the lead, coming into the pits after 44 laps of action at the front. Now is the time for the Lamborghini to come in with just about 15 minutes to go in the race here so far. Vasquez and Portis still so close between the two of them, but not quite desperation time for Kenneth Portis to make the move from behind yet in the Honda, just waiting it out, waiting for Vasquez to slip up a little bit in front, but he is not doing that at all. More Jags. Dr. Porkchop, why are you not racing in the Jag? You can always join us in this series, my friend, and that'll be fun. That'll be the Jag on the grid. You can be the Jag on the grid. Muff says, I have a 65 Mustang that my grandparents bought new in the garage, so I'm obligated to Ford. Absolutely agreed. Here in the lead of the race, Jonathan Clifford comes out behind Donk, but he is ahead of Rados, so he just might finish in that second place position unless Rados is able to get through the traffic and get those quick lap times. With the Lamborghini coming into the pit super late, it's almost a 20-second pit stop time less than the Honda driver of Rados. And yeah, the chiming chart was just not quite updated, but it is still super close between the top though. 3.8 seconds is pretty close, so Donk needs to drive absolutely perfectly to the end and not commit any sort of mistakes. Is there a minimum fueling time? From what I can tell, I don't think there is a minimum fueling time. From what I can tell, all the pit stop timers are varied. So Jonathan Clifford was stopped for 11 seconds, Donk was stopped for 20 seconds, and Andrew Rados was stopped for 32 seconds in the Honda. You need to get the motor rebuilt. Haven't driven it in several years. And yeah, it's always fun to see all those classic cars rolling around in an excellent condition here as well. Not so easy to do in a few places with some snow basically, and salts coming into play, so not too many classic cars around my parts of town, but always fun to see those. And yeah, always nice to see how clean and well maintained a few of them can be. Jake Finn still yet to pit in 5th place, now 6th place, with Rados getting through the field eventually. We've got some suggestions here. P15 and 16, good battle going on between Peter Hutchins and Alex Freeman. 1.1 seconds separating him out on track. Just gonna wait and see if that battle will wait and pick up for the lead. Jace Wright getting overtaken by Donk for 2nd place overall, but Jace Wright still yet to come into the pits, and it'll just be interesting to see exactly where he comes out after the pit stop there. Here we have that battle between Hutchins and Freeman, with Quinn Smith trying to split the two. This is not for position for Quinn Smith. He is still rolling out on track in the overall lead of the race in the 999 Aston Martin, now working his way through the field. And Peter Hutchins is going to try to be a little bit sneaky here and work through the field as well, but Freeman covering off that opportunity very well indeed. Matt Artem into the pits in the 414 Audi from 13th place, and it is absolutely bumper to bumper between these two. Alex Freeman is going to cover off the inside into turn 1, and Peter Hutchins is going to have to try to go the long way around the outside between these two British manufacturers, McLaren and Bentley. And a stop-go 30, unfortunately, for Matt Artem, picking up a penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and that is going to drop him back even more down the grid, as he's going to have to serve that before the end of the race. Oh man, absolutely gut-wrenching for Matt Artem. Was rolling around super well in the 414, but now having to serve another pit stop for speeding in the pits. That penalty is a stop-go 30. Jace Wright still yet to pit as well in that third place position, with Quinn Smith in the overall lead of the race, as this battle continues for 14th and 15th. Will most likely be 13th and 14th, because Chronotis as still yet to pit. Whoa, there was a bit of a lag situation there. Oh my goodness me. Not sure what happened there, but Hutchins getting caught out from the... It seemed like that was, yeah, I wasn't sure if that was a bit of a lag on my end, or whether Freeman just went a little bit wide and caught out Hutchins a little bit. But yeah, a little bit of a mistake from Hutchins, as he runs deep and is going to have to try to do that work all over again, as Portis here in the 84 Honda is able to get through the Ferrari of Vasquez, who has been out on track after the pit stop for the longest time, now coming under pressure from Chandler Williams. He was gone for like 2 seconds, and he's glad it didn't kill him. Yes, I agree. It's always a scary situation when that kind of moment happens right in front of these two Please Break T1 teammates, absolutely battling it out for 9th and 10th place. Chandler Williams sending it down the inside, and Vasquez is going to try the quick, absolutely outside move. The over-under for the Ferrari driver not working out there. Chandler Williams gets the position, moves up into 9th place in the number 7 Ford Mustang, and they're going to try to stay super close. Matt Artem clears that stop-go penalty, and he is going to be out in 21st place, unfortunately for him. But yeah, good move there from Chandler Williams, just lining it up on the inside of the final corner, turn 12 at Donington. Able to get the move done, and now gonna try to close down the gap to the Honda. 3.5 seconds in the closing stages of the race. Less than 8 minutes left to go in round 2 at Donington Park in the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship event hosted by Trackalicious. And again, thank you to everybody joining us here tonight, all the racers, all of the participants, all the members in the chat. We really appreciate your support watching along here on in this Sunday championship we have for you tonight. Quinn Smith electing to go absolutely to the bitter end in that Aston Martin. The 999 still going after 49 laps. That absolute fuel efficiency of that twin turbo V8 at the front of the Aston Martin has a 20-second gap behind, and that'll be about the time he will take for his pit stop. So that'll be an absolutely epic battle to the end between that. Oh, and speaking of pit stops, Quinn Smith into the pit lane. This is going to be for the lead of the race. Where is he going to come out relative to his Aston Martin competitor of Donk? Let's ride on board the Helicam of Donk. He's going to round up the final corner and easily take that position from Quinn Smith, who is sitting there in the pits, now rolling. Matt Artem getting a drive-through, and it goes from bad to worse for, oh no, for the 414 Audi. Now has a drive-through penalty to serve on top of that stop-go 30. So Donk now in the lead of the race in the 277 Aston Martin, with Jace Wright still yet to pit. Quinn Smith comes out in 5th place behind Rados and Clifford. We've all had days like that, Artem. Indeed we have. And unfortunately, in this race, it has happened to Matt Artem, but still plenty of championship left, as this is only round 2. So we will absolutely see Matt Artem fighting for more positions when we see him back on track for round 3 next week. I am sure of it. And speaking of serving that penalty, he is in the pits to do just that. And if you want to join the action, feel free to sign up on SimGrid for this championship. Not sure if signups are still open for this one, like I mentioned, but signups are open for other championships as well. So join Trackalicious on SimGrid. Join the Discord, get involved with all the up-to-date news, as well as fun little events that Trackalicious hosts here and there. So do please check us out. Quinn Smith now in 5th place after qualifying in, I believe, 5th place. This is where he will... oh, excuse me. Mouth is absolutely drying up here tonight. So much action tonight. GT3 action. Dr. Porkchop says lots of room in the GT4 rookies. Of course, that is a super fun championship to watch and broadcast on Mondays. It will be back with that tomorrow here at Trackalicious, so do join us for that championship, as well as the Open, followed not too far after that race concludes. Chris Logan, after a bit of damage after contact with the Bentley of Hutchins, still not able to close the gap as effectively as he would like to the McLaren in front. Oh, and running into the grass a little bit, having to take a bit of evasive action. And we've got a fun little battle going on here. Suggestion in the chat, battle for P20 between Mario Costa and Rogerio Santos. This is the battle for 19th and 20th place between the 744 McLaren trying to get through Santos in the 177 Ferrari, with action up and down the field with the Lexus in front, not too far off as well. Gonna get involved in the action soon. Jace Wright in the pits though, in the number 24 Lamborghini, with just under 3 minutes to go. He just has 2 or 3 laps he really needs to do after serving that pit stop. And he is going to come out overall in 7th place, I believe, is going to be where the Lamborghini ends up after the pit stop. So pretty good overcut by the Lamborghini there, jumping pretty much well into the top 10 after battling just outside of the top 10, or just on the cusp of the top 10, I should say, in the beginning of the race. So good long run from the Lamborghini there from Jace Wright. The battle here picking up completely near the back of the grid. Buckley in the 173 with a cast on, trying to defend for his life from Santos and Costa, the 2 Brazilian drivers, with lots of support in the chat. Always happy to see the support for our international drivers here at Trackalicious. And of course, this is some of the top racing we have. And Rogerio is gonna dive to the inside. He's gonna look on the inside and it taps the Lexus. And unfortunately for the two of them, oh, and now he's gonna spin. Unfortunately, the grass catching out Santos there after going into the back of Buckley, hopefully not sustaining too much damage to the arm, and able to keep that Lexus rolling but not losing too many places. Fortunately is Buckley, just 1 or 2 places, but now Chronotis is coming under pressure. Commentator's Curse, knock that one down, add it to the list of the Commentator's Curse. I believe exclamation mark curse will show you just how many Commentator's Curses we've had here at Trackalicious, and it is absolutely more than one. So yeah, a little bit into the back there of the Lexus, but the 177 losing out, unfortunately, the worst there. I would like to say the chat pointed out to tune into that battle, and so we did what the chat liked, so you can slightly call it a Commentator's Curse, slightly not, but I'm going to call it a 75% Commentator's Curse, 25% chat tune-in request curse. But nonetheless, Mario Costa still on the back of Chronotis in the final stages of the race. We heard our race director call it there with the final lap of the race. Dr. Porkchop with the exclamation mark curse, and the Commentator's Curse the drivers 117 times. So add that one to the tally as well here on this fun Sunday drive here around Donington in round 2, with Donk leading the way. Approaching a bit of traffic in front is Dink Donk. The Ferraris running out of room on the side there, trying to let the leaders through, as he just has a few sectors to go before he closes out the win in round 2. Turn 11, the Melbourne hairpin here with the Ford Mustang. I believe that is Silverin in front of in the 400. We'll have to go around one more lap unless he lets the leader through, and we will see just what he decides to do there. He does let the leader through, but he doesn't want to give those positions up, and the leader has crossed the line. Congratulations to Dink Donk in the 277 for taking that position. Jonathan Clifford and Andrew Rados absolutely close to the line in second and third place. Quinn Smith is gonna take fourth place. Michael Landry in 5th place across the line in the 710. Jace Wright able to make that long strategy work for him. Finishes in 6th place in the number 24, with Portis behind in the 84 crossing the line. Chandler Williams as well across the line in the top 10 position in 8th place. Mike Vasquez, after coming in early, doing the opposite of Jace Wright, able to finish in the top 10 position, as well as Jace Wright, who was battling it out, or sorry, not Jace Wright, excuse me, is Jake Finn battling it out to the line with Anthony Kelly and Chris Logan. Finn finishing in the top 10. Kelly 11th, Logan in 12th, Freeman in 13th place, still rolling around on track in the McLaren. There he is, flashing the lights, crossing the line with Peter Hutchins in 14th place, Silverin in 15th, Fernandez 16th, Chronotis 17th, Costa in 18th place, Santos 19th, Artem in 21st, Alves 22nd, Ali Raza in 23rd, finishing out the grid tonight here in round 2 at Donington tonight. Absolutely epic action from start to finish in that race. Super, super fun to watch in our fun next level racing GT3 Pro Championship in ACC at Trackalicious. And we will wait for a moment here and wait for our top 3 to join us in the green room, and then we will pull in our friends and for a quick interview, have a quick chat and see what the race was like from their perspective. The pit lane battles are really what settled it there at the end there, with Jace Wright coming in super late, as well as Quinn Smith able to get pretty high up in the grid. We got a hydrate redeem. My water bottle is green, so you can't really see it. You can see the lid though. So there we go. The hydrate request completed from Celica Supra. And just to give a quick few more moments here, let's pull in third place sitter Andrew Rados in the 403 Honda. Hello, Andrew. Welcome to the green room. Congrats on finishing out on the podium in the end there. Tell us about your race. How was it from your perspective?
Laggy. I had very high latency, so that Ferrari that I was in front of or behind, yeah, it was tough. So I did the best that I could have, I thought, with that race.
Yeah, absolutely. You came in a little bit early for the pit stop as well, and it looked like you had a pretty long pit stop. Did you take tires or fix damage or anything like that during your stop?
No, I think I made a mistake on the fueling. I guess if you pit later, it's less time. I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, so what happens is... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I did take tires, but yeah, I'm not sure how it works, so I think I screwed up the strategy a bit.
Yeah, so just a quick explanation there. So if you do take tires, it's a 30-second pit stop, but depending on how much fuel you put in the car, it's less and less. So for example, if you have to put in like 10 liters of fuel, it'll take a lot less time than putting in a full tank of fuel.
Okay, yeah, I put 69, because 69, so yeah.
Yeah, no, so even if you chose not to take tires, it would have been in less than 30 seconds for them to fill up that tank. So just something to keep in mind for next time, as the pit stop times did come into play there, especially towards the end there. It looked like you were in a pretty comfortable position at the beginning, sitting in third place. But then Thiago Dinarte unfortunately had that disconnect, and one of the Lamborghini drivers did have that long run. And so you were able to close the gap pretty much towards the end there, but not quite able to get that tire advantage to work for you. But how was it towards the end of the race there, trying to close that gap despite the lag issues?
So I only really noticed it on, I guess, the other top three cars that qualified in front of me, because they all had high latency as well. So I noticed it following them. Everyone else was fine. It was just the Ferrari, I think, Dong, and then Dinarte. They were all kind of skipping all over the place for me. Everyone else was fine. So when I caught up to Clifford, it was fine.
Gotcha. Sounds good. Yeah, good to know for... Yeah, it's always, we can only presume what happens from the commentators, from all the numbers and stuff we can see. So it's always good to get a little bit of an insight from the drivers themselves. Lots of fans from Honda in the chat. So good to see the support for Andrew here in the top three. Congrats once again for finishing on the podium in tonight's race. And we are gonna go ahead. Or actually, yeah, anything else you would like to say, Andrew, before we pull in our next contender?
No. I'm Honda. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Thanks for joining us. We're going to pull in our second place sitter in the Lamborghini, Jonathan Clifford. Hello, Jonathan. How is it going this evening, my friend?
Going well. How are you doing?
I can't complain. Super fun action out on track. You elected to go for the long stop, or for the long strategy, kind of pitting more towards the end of the race there. How was the beginning stint with all that fuel in the tank?
It was very difficult. I knew it was going to be, and I knew if I could make it to a certain point without pushing too much, it should level out. Luckily, it did. But yeah, the start was tough.
Yeah, it seemed like there was an absolutely epic train of cars pretty much in the top 5 the entire way through. And so, talk us through what it's like battling in a bit of a train like that with cars in front and behind.
It's tricky. Being in the middle is not easy. You want to stay as close to the car ahead as you can, but you don't want to stay too close that you get caught out and then the car behind can make a move. So a lot of it is strategic gap.
Yeah, totally understandable there. And was it your call from the beginning to kind of do that long stop strategy where you had to just fuel up and go again towards the end?
Yeah, that was about basically the strategy from the get-go.
Gotcha. Good to know. And yeah, congrats again for finishing on that second place position. Not quite able to get close to the lead of Donk, but I'm sure you will be back in those top positions next week for round 3.
Yeah, do my best, and thank you so much.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Thank you for joining us, Jonathan. Gonna move you back to the green room here. And don't have our leader here in the green room, but congratulations to the P1 sitter Dink Donk at the front of the grid here tonight in the Next Level Racing Pro GT3 Championship at Trackalicious. And of course, congrats to everybody who was able to finish that race as well. An hour and 20-minute long race is a pretty long stint, all things considered. So still a big shout out to all of those who finished as well in the race. We're going to take a quick look at the Trackalicious calendar and see just what Trackalicious has to offer in terms of all the fun racing. So on Mondays, tomorrow in ACC, we've got GT4 Rookies and the GT4 Open Championship with prizes from Next Level Racing going to a random winner who completes 7 out of the 8 races in the championship in the Rookies. And the winner of the GT4 Open will get the Next Level prize. Both of those prizes is a haptic gaming pad from Next Level Racing. And so do make sure to sign up for those or for the next ones to try and get registered and win those fun prizes. On Tuesday, we switch over to Le Mans Ultimate, starting at 8:30 Eastern with the multi-class 60-minute races between the hypercars and the GT3 fields. Signups are open on SimGrid, so do feel free to join us for those, with the next race going to Monza. On Wednesdays is the Late Night West Coast Championship, hosted at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, with fun 50-minute races and a 10-minute qualifying session before that. Always tight, fun grid. Lots of drivers competing in the Sunday championship we saw here, as well as that championship on Wednesdays. On Thursdays, the action switches over to iRacing for the mixed GT3 and GT4 championship, starting at 8:30 Eastern Time. Always fun to see the multi-class action in iRacing. And speaking of multi-class action, the multi-class Masters on Fridays will alternate with the Orica Masters Cup, 60-minute races for the Oricas, and then 100-minute races for the multi-class Masters in Le Mans Ultimate on Fridays. Thank you for the follow, Louise. Much appreciated. Saturdays, no racing apart from the occasional one-off endurance or fun event that Trackalicious hosts. Do pay attention in the Discord for those and feel free to join those on SimGrid. And then on Sundays, as you just saw, we've got the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship starting at 6:30 Eastern Time. Rounds 1 and 2 already under our belt at Barcelona and Donington. Next week, we go to the Hungaroring for yet another 80-minute race with that crucial pit stop in between to settle things out. And I believe Eric does have a fun raid set up for us. Do you have that set up, or do you want me to go ahead and do that? But nonetheless, thank you everybody for joining us tonight in round 2 at Donington Park in the Next Level Racing GT3 Pro Championship. much appreciate all the support from everybody in the background, all the organizers, all the stewards, everybody doing their hard work to get these championships organized and set up for everybody on Twitch and YouTube to view. Hopefully you all had a fun time watching along with us tonight. Sorry, excuse me there. And yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed watching along there. And do join us again tomorrow and throughout the rest of the week and next week as well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to everybody watching along. We're going to get this raid underway. Thank you, Eric, for getting that set up. We are going to go ahead and rank Lank RL. You are very welcome. Thank you all for joining us. Have a good rest of your evening, everybody.